expectations and standards now are a really good thing. I think if we had had this ceremony a couple of weeks ago, some of my sub-Saharan African politics students would have disagreed with that vigorously. Thank you, members of the Board of Trustees, honored guests, faculty, staff, and most importantly, the students of the class of 2011, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this occasion. Before I begin my actual remarks, I would like to take a moment to tip an imaginary hat to the students of the class of 2011. I was there for a decent chunk of your experiences here at Colby-Sawyer, so I know personally what I put you through, and we faculty talk, so we know what you have been through in these past 4 years, so you deserve all of the accolades you're going to be receiving here today. But now, unfortunately, now that I've given you a tip of my hat, let me use my other hand to give you a wag of my finger. I am honored and humbled by this award, but unfortunately the writing of this speech has forced me to confront something that I have been naively trying to ignore for a number of years right now. I am profoundly out of touch with the lives of young people. So shame on you for forcing me to realize my old age. When I was first asked about giving a speech at commencement, I jumped at the opportunity. I was excited about the chance to address your experiences here at Colby-Sawyer College, and my mind immediately went to the often quoted line from the trial of Socrates, the idea that the unexamined life is not worth living. Condemned to death by his fellow citizens for the questions that he asked, Socrates stands as a hero for those who believe in the power of intellectual growth and freedom. I've always been intrigued by this claim, and I began immediately to build a speech around this theme. But unfortunately, this elation did not last long. My wife, whose honesty is a characteristic I typically find refreshing, chose this moment to be painfully honest about my choice of an ancient Greek philosopher as relevant framework for my speech. I reluctantly agreed and tried to start over in a quest for relevance. I honestly believe that this would be easy. I've always considered myself to be a reasonably hip person. I know the use of hip shows you where this is going right away. I always thought, I get young people. I appreciate the nuance of Jersey Shore. I have seen numerous episodes. I can even differentiate between paparazzi and bad romance. And the new skill I developed this year is the ability to pick Justin Bieber out of a lineup with reasonable accuracy. So I was positive that I could find something significant to relate my speech to that would be a little bit more fresh and relevant. No need to bring in Socrates. Unfortunately, it did not take long for this illusion to be very rudely destroyed. To give but one example, the only album on my now ancient iPod is Neil Diamond's Greatest Hits. A friendly audience for once, yes. To be honest, I seriously contemplated a Neil Diamond-themed speech until my loving wife once again intervened. I realized I should probably be embarrassed about this flirtation with Neil, but I am not. In fact, the first bit of wisdom I would like to give you is the hits of Neil Diamond will give you all of the guidance you need to make it through life. Allow that to sink in for a moment. But it was at this moment, when I had just abandoned my dream of a speech built around Sweet Caroline and Cracklin' Rose, that you, the students of Colby-Sawyer, provided the inspirational moment I needed. The moment was at 9:30 a.m. Friday class. My students shambled into the classroom, bleary-eyed from lack of sleep, many with what I can only call a pony keg of coffee in tow. I had fond memories of my own days as a student. I remembered fondly when 9:30 was still early. I laughed at and in a way sympathized with your groans, your shuffling, and your vacant expressions, and I knew I had the answer to my dilemma, the zombie. Like the reanimated corpses that they imitated, these students seemed to relish the unexamined life, giving the lie to Socrates' claim that this life was not worth living. So now let me explain this seemingly terrible decision to relate your educational experience to both an ancient Greek philosopher and a monster movie staple. While it is clear that the successful completion of your Colby-Sawyer experience will result in the issuing of a degree, what else has it provided you? I would like to tell you that your education prepared you to live an examined life and echo the claim of Socrates that this is the only life worth living. But there was just something about the disengaged yet strangely peaceful faces of my early morning students that pushed me to question Socrates in a way I've never done before. So, is the examined life really the only kind of life worth living? I want to begin by defending the Socratic vision. I found 3 compelling reasons to agree with Socrates. First, the examined life is multidimensional. While the things you have learned at Colby-Sawyer will hopefully lead to promotions at work and witty conversations during leisure, the examined life provides much more than this. An examined life is one that identifies and ultimately transcends the false divisions, like work versus leisure, that compartmentalize everyday life. Be willing to submit your life, thoughts, and experiences to examination. Be that person who finds enjoyment in her work and intellectual stimulation in her leisure. Second, an examined life is one of limitless growth. The Socratic mind is one that asks questions, even though the answers to those questions will only lead to further, hopefully more interesting questions. As you continue through your life, continue to ask questions, continue to open doors, even if it is just to poke your head in and look around for a while. As you do, you will realize that the world is a fascinating and ultimately unknowable place. While frustrating at times, the tensions and contradictions of the world are exactly the reason why it is such an interesting place. Be a person that embraces this complexity. Live in a world of constantly shifting horizons. A world in which the seemingly distant is brought close, and new complications are found in that which is seemingly close at hand. Finally, examining your life will make you a better citizen. This aspect of the examined life is very dear to my heart. The world we live in right now is an uncertain and at times terrifying place. There are a variety of problems that are looming on our horizon. It is often impossible to differentiate between the problems that are real and the problems that are really just distractions. A critical Socratic mind will allow you to be the kind of citizen that can step up and address these problems. Keep in mind that the real world that has loomed and acted as the threats throughout your college experience is not set in stone. It's often not even set in sturdy plastic. It often feels like reality is a solid thing, but examination provides you with the tools you need to engage with and ultimately improve upon reality. An intellectually curious mind will help you see through the empty and inflammatory rhetoric that fills our public spaces and clouds our common sense. We need you to think new thoughts and do new things. So as a whole, it seems thinking critically about your life and world pushes you to continually grow. It is an absolutely vital task. But on the other hand, I did find some compelling reasons to embrace the unexamined life and its champion, the zombie. While rarely held up as an ideal, the zombie's unexamined life has a number of things going for it that Socrates simply cannot match. First, the unexamined life is a life of peaceful tranquility. While Socrates found that his quest for answers led only to the certainty of his own ignorance, the zombie knows very little, but finds contentment in the fact that it has all of the answers it needs. The zombie desires brains, and finds that it is already blessed with all of the tools it needs to pursue this goal. If you are looking for a life in which work and play are fused into one organic whole, look no further than the zombie. The zombie is always doing exactly the thing that it wants to do. Be sure to temper your Socratic quests with a bit of zombie bliss. It is important that you find peace in a world that is unfinished and with experiences that are precarious and unstable. Know when to slow down to a shuffle, release a few low grumbles, and relax. Second, the unexamined life is a life of action and adaptation. As any horror movie will reveal, zombies are doers. They are not thinkers. Zombies don't think about what it means to be a zombie or how to be a better zombie. Yet despite this, they believe in themselves. A zombie never accepts defeat, never stops moving forward towards its goal. Even when facing insurmountable odds, the zombie continues to act. In this way, the zombie is once again an interesting foil for Socrates. The examined life is one of open doors, but there is always the temptation to wait for a new door to open, to stay secluded in a world of pure thought that is not subjected to the often wild fluctuations of the real world. The zombie does not struggle with this tension between thought and action. It opens doors by running into them over and over and over again. Remember that at some point you must actually walk through one of the doors that you are opening. And that adaptation is a necessary survival skill. Here again, take your cue from the zombie. The zombie adapts to whatever is thrown in its path. It knows its strengths and completely ignores its weaknesses. Once you have identified the goals that you seek, pursue them with the relentless action and adaptability that only the living dead can bring to a task. Finally, the unexamined mind gets along well with others. The exact same world that demands citizen leaders who pursue lives of examination also requires those who can work together as a team. Zombies play well together. And when you find a single zombie, it is safe to assume that many more are on their way. Like many individuals who have achieved great things, the zombie knows that there is strength in numbers. One slowly moving zombie shuffling toward you is an amusing diversion. Thousands of zombies are a force to be reckoned with. As it is in the world of George Romero's zombie movies, so it is in the non-zombie infested world. Like the wave of democratic revolutions that swept across Eastern Europe in 1989, the recent uprisings across the Middle East and North Africa have shown that real power derives from people acting together. In order to change the world, you need to be willing and able to work with others, even those with whom you do not completely agree. In sum, the world needs zombies just as much as it needs Socrates. To paraphrase the theologian Reinhold Niebuhr in a way that will make him roll over in his grave, we need a zombie-like serenity to accept the things we cannot change. Socratic courage to change the things we can, and both zombies and Socrates to know the difference. Apologies, Reinhold Niebuhr. It is with this call to have your brains and eat them too that I will conclude my remarks. As you move on to new challenges, setbacks, and victories, try your best to merge the self-knowledge and intellectual growth of the examined life with the tranquility and action of the unexamined life. Subject your life and your world to critical examination. Push yourself to construct a vision of the kind of world you would like your grandchildren to inherit. Remember, though, that real change can only come about when you are acting on this vision with confidence, clarity, and the courage to face seemingly insurmountable odds. Be strong in your convictions, but also willing to pick the brains of others. Be the best human that you can be, but know when this requires you to roll up your sleeves and get your zombie on. Thank you again for this honor and this opportunity, and congratulations once again to the class.